make a Christmas tree that you could use for your e-card. It's fairly simple. There's lots of different ways to do it, of course, but this will be a simple way if you want to start out or just to get some ideas. So first we want to start our ActionScript 3.0, and we want to make sure that we've got the settings correct. Now let's go ahead and make this one the 640 by 480, 24 frames per second. Okay, I'm going to fit in window. Often it is very useful to turn on your rulers, and I think this would be a good idea this time. So let's go ahead and turn on View, Rulers, and then we can draw in a guide to show the center of the screen, 640, half of that is 320, there we go, and I'm going to lock my guide. Okay. First thing we want to do is we want to draw a base for the tree, something that will be the tree itself. And we'll turn off the line. If you don't turn off the line, the stroke, you can always delete the stroke by double-clicking on it and hitting delete. But let's just turn it off to start with, and that way we don't have to worry. Let's choose a good color green for the base. That's a good one. So that one is 006633. Get the rectangle tool, and we want to draw a tree that will be fairly big but not completely filling the screen. So let's draw a nice rectangle. Now this of course is not the shape that we want for our tree. We want to have a different shape for the tree. But this is the beginning of the tree. Now we'll select it and align it to the stage. So turn on Align to Stage and center it. And now it is centered. Okay. Deselect it, and now what we're going to do is we're going to delete one of the anchor points at the top. So make sure it's not selected, but get your Delete Anchor Point tool. It's under the Pen tool. And come over to the corner and click right over one of the points. And it takes it away. And now we want to take this point, and if you don't select the tree, the green part, if you just come up to it, you can see you get the little elbow that shows you that there's a point there, so you can click and drag that to that center line. Okay, so this is going to be the base for our tree. Let's give it a little curve on the bottom. So we curve it by just pulling down at the bottom there. And now select the whole thing and press F8, and let's call this Tree. Okay, want to make it a graphic. Let's put the registration in the bottom middle and say OK. So there it is. Let's double click to enter the library editing mode. And this layer, layer 1, let's call that base. And then lock that. Add a layer. And on this layer, we're going to get a lighter color of green. And let's see, that's too yellow. Let's go with this one, number 339966. Looks good to me. Get the rectangle again, and now we're going to draw a rectangle that's about a quarter of the size of the base. Well, before we do that, let's Command S to make sure we've saved, and we'll give it a good name right now. I'm going to call mine BK Tree, and so I know where it is. Save it. Now let's draw a rectangle that is 1/4 of the size about of the tree. Now that has a line that it's got a stroke. So if we come up to the stroke with our selection tool without selecting it yet, double click on the line and it selects the entire line around the outside without selecting the fill color. So let's hit delete and it's gone. Now we want to reshape this rectangle so we can use it as the branches. So if you come up to the edges, you get a point and you can pull it to where you want it. And then if you hold Alt and pull, so Alt and pull, it adds a point. Don't want to add too many points, but give it enough points that you can get a good tree branch shape out of it. And that looks good to me. And then we'll make it a little bit curvier so it looks a little more organic. Okay, that's beginning to look more like tree branches. Now click on that. We're going to F8. We're going to call that branch. Okay, now let's move that to, let's see, this will be the bottom branch. We'll put it down here. We'll select the free transform tool. That's the next thing we're going to do. But first, we're going to rename this branch. We're going to Command S to save. And now we're going to right click and we're going to duplicate this several times. So duplicate, 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 one more time, duplicate. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 branches, okay? Now we have our branches and we're going to go ahead and separate them out and put them where they go. So this one's going to be on the top. This one's going to be below that. We're just going to go all the way down. You have to start at the top or they start grabbing onto each other when you're trying to adjust them. And that's the original branch right there. Now what you want to do is you want to go through and you want to transform them so that they will fit in that position, and also you want to change the color. So first we'll make them the size we want them to be using the transform tool. So this one I want to be bigger. I'm going to hold Alt and drag it from the top. I want it to be bigger. I also want it to be wider. Get it kind of centered there. Okay, so that's where I want that one. I'm going to lock that and I'm going to turn off the eyeball. I'm going to come to the next one. I'm going to unlock that one and now I'm going to make this one a little bit wider. And I'm going to angle it a little bit like that by using the skew. And then this one also same thing. Make it a little bit wider. And then skew it some. Maybe a little taller. Now you don't want them to be completely mirror images of each other anyway, so you just want to get a good feel for it, make them look like they're sort of branches, and let's see, skew that. And skew this one a little bit, a bit wider. And this one, a little skinnier, I think. Okay, now we've got all those turned on, and they're all basically the same sort of color. And let's see what we can do here to just adjust them a little bit to get them all fitting nicely. Okay, so now what we need to do is take each of these and select it and do something with the color effect to make it more interesting. Let's try brightness, and we'll put it up to a different color. Well, let's make it darker, like that, and make that one a little darker. And you can make each of these of just a slightly different tint, slightly different brightness, and that will make them stand out from each other. And it gives it a nice, interesting sort of overlay effect here. We'll leave that one, we'll do this one a little bit brighter still. Okay, so there you go, and now we can Command S, and there is your tree. Okay, there you go. So there is a Christmas tree. Let's File, Save, and there's the tree. You can take that from your library and put it into anything else. Once again, anytime you have a library, that means you are able to access those things elsewhere.